Hello, welcome to our first podcast episode, our first alumni podcast episode. I have with me Jade, my co-host, and also Sung.
Hello, my name is Sung Kim. I graduated from Binghamton in 2014, and I'm the founder and CEO of Chick-N-Bap. Thanks for having me, guys.
It's an honor having you.
It really is an honor having you. Jade and I are both ambassadors, so we decided to collab finally with Chick-N-Bap and do something. And we've been waiting the whole semester to do something with you, so we're glad that we finally got to sit down with you.
No, I'm glad too. Yeah. So what is this podcast going to be about?
So this is the first podcast episode, and I decided to make kind of like an alumni series where we reach out to people that were involved with Kasa in the past and kind of just sit down with them, talk about their past experiences being on orgs on campus, and kind of to just encourage people to come out and talk about their past experiences in college too, and how they put themselves out there, what they're doing now, and how their involvement in organizations kind of help them in the future too. So were you involved with any organizations on campus?
Yeah, that sounds good. I was involved with Kasa. I was a sports chair when I was a junior, I think.
Sports chair. Very cool. We love our sports chairs.
Yeah. I think I hosted some free throw tournament or something for cash. But I saw you guys are having a volleyball tournament.
Yeah. What did you say actually? This Sunday, pull up.
Yeah. $60 per person is, that's a good price. So I was actually talking to some kids. Yeah, and they're excited. So yeah, I was sports chair for Kasa. I was part of Casa Moda for a little bit.
You were? You danced?
From freshman to junior year.
Oh shoot! I had no idea you danced.
Yeah, my best friend was the director who kind of made it big. His name's June Park. Shout out to June if he's watching. Yeah, he's the guy who really took it from kind of just a small crew to they performed at Syracuse to all the spring fling events. So they got invited. Cool. So yeah, me and my buddies are part of it. And then I dropped in junior year out of that. I played volleyball club team here and and then Chick-N-Bap in senior year. So I guess that's my college experience.
So how did being a part of all these orgs like Kasa, Moda, and everything else, how did these organizations change your views of culture, or how did it affect your identity?
Culture. I was born and raised in Korea, and then I moved there when I was 10. And I lived in West Coast for a little bit, so I didn't have too many Koreans in my schools there. But when I came to New York, it's sort of when I found my Koreans again, right, out in Queens. So coming into Binghamton, it was really nice to see familiar faces, but at the same time, because Bing is a rather large school, you had a lot of international students to, the Long Island kids to upstate New Jersey, whatever, people that I never got to meet. So I think having a very large Asian community here, especially being part of Kasa, was a good way to connect with other Koreans and kind of just explore different, aspects of Korean culture that I never got to growing up. So I was definitely the highlight of my college career for sure.
When you moved from Korea, where did you move to?
I moved to San Diego.
San Diego?
Yeah, it was awesome.
And you went to Bing from San Diego?
No. San Diego for 2 years. I was 10 there. So I don't really remember too much of it just because I didn't speak English. So I just remember what it felt like. But here I just went to middle school and high school in New York and came to Bing.
Jade also lived in Korea at one point too.
No shit.
Until I was about 10.
So were you born and raised there?
I was born in California.
Smart. Yeah.
And then I moved to Korea.
He said smart.
Yeah, you get the eagle on your passport. And No, that's good. Yeah.
So throughout these orgs and stuff, I'm guessing you definitely found a safe space with people of the same background and the culture.
Yeah. You guys would be surprised. I think Binghamton is the largest Asian community within university that I've seen. So maybe besides Stony Brook and stuff, but at least the universities that I'm in for Chick-N-Bap, out of 5 locations, Binghamton has separated organizations for Chinese organization, Vietnamese, Filipino, Japanese, and Korean, right? Other orgs just have one. Just a big Asian org, and everybody has to come in, and it's only 15 of them, so seeing Kasa host K-Night and have 200-300 people turn out, it's amazing, so definitely a safe, a haven almost. It just feels protected, right? You have your own identity, you have your own crew, big and littles, to families. I saw that you guys started this Kajok program, which I think
just started last semester.
Yeah, I thought that was dope. We didn't have that, but it was something that I think it's just encouraging a lineage, which Koreans love. Thousands of years of lineage. So for sure. I thought that was cool. And it's like silly things, right? When you go to Rat, there's like an Asian corner.
Yeah, there's
like,
the Asian corner of the Rat.
It's been the corner even before I got in, and people don't dare go to the corner after when we go in. So there is definitely a place for Asians here in Binghamton, and that was definitely a good experience.
Yeah, I think it's actually really important that we have like these different subgroups that pertain to like different ethnicities in the Asian group, right?
Oh yeah,
because that's always an issue sometimes. Like some groups are not they're kind of like overlooked sometimes compared to other like stereotypically Asian groups like that. Yeah,
you guys are definitely lucky and fortunate to have this diverse Asian population here.
Agreed.
Do you ever like see the difference? Because I know that you also like have Chick-N-Bap on other campuses and stuff. Do you ever like see the difference when you go on to other campuses?
Crazy. I mean, an example would be like we have like Marist College, for example. It's a private school out in Poughkeepsie, like Hudson Valley, New York. Majority of them are white. So like me and my partner sometimes will walk around, like we can't count on one hand how many Asians we see. Versus here, you walk through Marketplace, it's just everywhere. I mean, it's not that you're looking for Asians, but it's just common to expect just diversity here. Versus there, it's just very, it's very hard to find diversity. So, yeah, I mean, difference is huge for sure.
Do you have like any advice for like students who like just get into college and they feel kind of like out of place? Like, joining like an org kind of helps maybe, or like.
I mean, you guys should know. Joining orgs definitely help. Yeah, I mean, not even orgs. I mean, like, depending on what it is. One thing I regret a lot is I don't think I'm generalizing here, so I hope no one's taking offense. But like, I think a lot of the Asian communities find the Asian community very fast when they get here, right? I mean, you get that from the Greeks trying to rush you the moment you come here, right? And when you get together with these people, like you just see every Asian's getting together and you kind of stick with them. But I just remember like I was in one of those international dorms. Like I was in Lehman when I first came for whatever reason. And I just remember everybody was from different places. But I kind of got pulled away into the Asian circle fast where, everybody was hanging out at different floors. And him and at least back then had their own like communities. So I think it's good to kind of don't put all your eggs in one basket. While Kasa, I encourage like if you're Korean or just Asian in general to join these cultural orgs. It's definitely fun and inviting, and it's going to be a great experience. Like I did, volleyball on the side, and to have a separate group of friends that I could hang out with other than just my core group, I was amazing. And we had an amazing blast. Like we did some travel stuff together, and if I could have gotten more involved with my dorm stuff to other orgs, I would have definitely loved to have done that. Really cool. Yeah. So you guys are seniors? No,
I'm a junior.
I'm a sophomore.
Sophomore. So, I mean, you guys got time.
We do.
I guess we do.
So segueing into the real juicy bits. Chick-N-Bap.
The juicy bits.
The juicy bits.
I see what you did there. Yeah.
So how did you get the idea of starting Chick-N-Bap?
So I'm from Queens, so we are used to eating like chicken and rice bowls, right? So they're relatively cheap if you guys ever go out in Queens or city. It's like you don't have money, so you get we just go out and we're not gonna try to go to a fancy restaurant. We just try to get some cheap eats, whether you're
those halal carts.
Right. Back then it was like $5. It's kind of hard to find those nowadays, but you wait for your train, eat a chicken and rice bowl, and you kind of just go back home. So. Same scenario here. We went out one night in senior year, come back, wanted to have that kind of food, which Binghamton really lacked back in the days. So decided to make it myself out of the house. It was like a Kasa house we had, Jensen.
Very cool.
Yeah, right off of Vestal before Best Buy. If you make a right, it's the giant white house there. It's still available.
Oh, wow.
It's been passed down, I think, at least for 3 like college generation before we had it.
Oh wow!
So they always pass it down to the next Kasa people. I don't know what the hell happened. After.
Yeah, I don't know what happened either. That would be super cool if it kept going.
It's an amazing house. I made it out of there, and then one thing led to another that got big to the point of delivering to campus on my own, and eventually pitching to the university, and now doing full time and expanding out to other locations. So.
What are the locations that you are opened at right now?
So we opened at Binghamton 2016 officially. We did SUNY New Paltz officially at 2018 fall. We did Ithaca fall of 2019, Marist spring of 2020, Cortland technically fall of 2020, and then we're hoping to open a couple more this year. Yeah, so they're in the works. So
I have a couple friends in the West Coast that actually like swipe up on my stories, and they're like, "Yo, it's Chick-N-Bap here," and I was like, "Well, I don't know, like maybe
one day
we'll
go to West Coast for sure. It's in the works. We'll see."
Yeah, I even have some friends in the city that are like, "Yo, if Chick-N-Bap opened in the city, I'd get that."
Yeah, it just is so good. Did you like always love to cook? Like, how did you like start like the idea of just like
food and so when people say like food and beverage industry, people normally just translate that as like food, right? But for me, like food and beverage means like food and alcohol, right? Like that's kind of what the industry is. But like I am super passionate about both food and beverage. So like I've always studied food. I've worked in the food industry as part-time to like contractor in the past. Just studying restaurants, menu development to pricing to what's trendy, what's not, both food and alcohol. So that's something I just do on my fun time. Like I like legitimately study and I have a passion for it. So eventually I want to blow Chick-N-Bap up with my passion for food, but at the same time my ultimate dream is to go back to owning a bar and then just kind of retiring that way. So it's kind of get settle down easy and make sure it's an easier operation than a restaurant. But it's another passion of mine where I could sell Chick-N-Bap there or just have it in the city. Yeah, that's what I want to do.
How did you like first get into like cooking?
First get into cooking? I actually remember. I remember it was in New York. You know that Disney movies back in the days?
Disney movies?
You know there's like Disney original movies like
the cartoons?
Yeah.
No, like the Disney Channel movies, those cheesy, you know what I'm talking about? Like the romantic ones, like you know those like, and stuff? Yeah, they make those like movies, and there was one with cooking, like Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off. You guys might not have heard of it, it's a while ago. But anyway, there's this like stupid movie that comes out, and it's about this kid who cooks really well, but he's like a jock, and he finds it like kind of like weird to cook and be a jock at the same time. Eventually, loves cooking, and he starts cooking. I kind of just thought, being a young self, I was like, 11, 12 back then or something. I just thought it was cool. I tried to cook. I sucked, but I loved the idea because my parents were trying to be nice to me. So they're like, oh, this is delicious. And I just remember that feeling of like, oh, I cook something and somebody enjoys it. And I just went with it and I just kept studying like throughout middle school, high school, watching videos, cooking every time for my friends. And that developed into like a real passion. So that's how I got to cook. Yeah.
I actually noticed that like your mask has like the logo on it. Like, do you have like a backstory of how you like got the logo?
The logo.
Yeah, how'd you come with the logo?
Yeah. So our first logo wasn't this. It was like actually like a chicken coming out of like a rice cooker, very old font. Yeah, it was very silly.
Would I be able to find it if I looked it up?
Yeah, I could send a picture of it for you guys.
Oh yeah, we'll put it on the screen right here.
Yeah.
Like,
and then obviously it wasn't like trendy enough, good enough, and she actually was on Kasa too, and she was part of like a sorority at like SOPI, and she was a close friend of mine. So she was graphic design major, and she was like, I could like create something. So we always met up, tried to design a chicken, and she came up with the chicken that you guys see, and then the name I came up with, and we finally came up with the design and trademarked, and now it is what it is.
This is actually something I've been wondering. How did you like come up with what is the meaning behind the name? Like, is there a particular meaning or?
You should know. So bap is rice.
Yeah.
So it's chicken. Rice, so chicken and rice. Yeah, like that's literally a play.
He was like hoping for like a deep story or something.
No, it's a chicken and rice. That's Korean, so which is perfect. Chick-N-Bap.
And simple and nice. I like
very
it.
Simple.
Yeah.
One thing that I do want to ask is like, what is the process of you like making the new toppings and stuff for like?
Oh yeah. So we came up. So COVID definitely was a double-edged sword, right? Like it's terrible, of course, for all the small businesses, but it was actually really good for us because we stopped focusing on growing and we got to reflect, like, can we make things better? Yeah, so during the months when everything was closed, like, our team had to kind of figure out what to do. Like, they really couldn't operate, so we couldn't make money. So if we couldn't make money, are we just wasting money?
Right.
But it's like, well, we can't waste money. Let's just try to make the best out of it. So we did, like, a company retreat. Well, first, we tried to work on every, like, back-end stuff. So meaning, like, everything that we do, like place order to see how much food we have to anything, like create a manual, we just kind of sharpened that up. But when we're done, we're like, well, is there anything we could do better with our food? So I'm the food guy. Still to this day, everything that Chick-N-Bap has come up with is my recipe, right?
Oh, so cool.
And because it's the things, those are the things that I want to eat. And I realized some of the old toppings aren't really the ones that I want to eat. Like just diced tomatoes, onions, and cucumbers, people enjoy it, but the way I described it was if you guys go to like chopped or sweet green salad bowls, like when you get to choose like 5 like free toppings at a poke bar or something, right? You're not choosing like raw tomatoes. You're probably choosing like
their signature
thing.
Yeah.
They're like homemade like slaw or something. Like so it's like if people like curated like toppings, even the little things that come with free, they prefer the ones with more love and care to it. Like why aren't we doing the same thing? So we knew that we had to probably raise the prices a little bit just because food costs went up like crazy because of COVID. If we have to, might as well just make it more worth it for the students. Like let's just show them we're doing more. So we made the pork every day now. Instead of I think last semester we didn't even have pork here. We got romaine lettuce on top of iceberg. So like if you're getting a salad bowl, it's not just like iceberg anymore. You have some varieties. We make salsa now in-house. We make the popcorn, which kids love. And I wanted to bring more Korean flavors because I wanted that to be my differentiator as a Chick-N-Bap. I think before it was just a Korean barbecue chicken. So I definitely wanted to do like the cucumber kimchi because it makes sense. If you have cucumber, you want to keep the cucumber.
It's one of my favorite.
But how do you make it? How do you make it more flavorful? And I think that was one of the ways. So cucumber kimchi, we do it literally the way like restaurants do it because I know people. I would just go in, I research, I talk to my mom, and that's the way we do it. So. And then we do the soy pickle jalapenos and onions, like 장아찌 that you get, just diced up, so which I love. So those 4 toppings are all made in-house every week, like fresh. So it's kind of like people can't argue we're not doing everything that we can, And we even introduced the BB sauce, which is like chogochujang, right? So it's the most Korean sauce we have. But we add a couple ingredients there that's not very Korean to make it our own, and that's kind of what we did. And now that we're leaning towards opening back up the schools again in the fall, it's been very good. Like now that our like pitch to university have been like we're a Korean focused New York City street food, look at what we do. Like we make everything in-house, we marinate everything in-house, and they're just like, if I could say so myself, they're fairly impressed with what we've created. And
it's incredible.
It's really cool.
Now it's just becoming easier to like entice them. We're very different.
What is your favorite like bowl combo? Like what would you get?
I love the spicy Korean pork personally.
That's his favorite too.
It's Chick-N-Bap.
Mine's a chicken. I really love the chicken.
I like the Korean barbecue chicken. I like the pork. I like them all. We're gonna introduce potentially like a steak in the future, like an actual Korean barbecue. So same marinade, but like we're gonna get maybe kalbi style just to make it better, because that's kind of what it's supposed to be. But yeah, I like the pork. I don't know. I used to love yellow rice because it's different than the white rice we eat at home. Because I'm like, I want to eat something different. But because I've eaten so much yellow rice, I actually like the white rice.
I go back and forth.
I go back and forth too, yeah. Because at home, my mom doesn't cook like white rice unless we have guests coming over. Right. It's normally like barley and everything combined, it's like healthy rice.
Okay.
I'm like, this is pretty good. So I get that. I get all the toppings. I get romaine, and my favorite sauces are the green sauce.
I love it. Sometimes I just get the green sauce because I love how it tastes. It's so good.
I just do like a tiny bit of white. I do full green. I do full hot. And I do a little bit of BB.
Full hot?
Like full hot? Like full scoop, bro. It's so spicy. Like there are sometimes where I'm like eating it and I'm just like sweating because it's like so spicy.
Spicy.
And that's something I think some people should know too. Like we don't get to control how spicy the peppers are. Like, right? Even farmers don't get to like dictate how spicy to make their peppers, right? So
True.
Because I heard some people like, like they changed their hot sauce, it's too hot or it's not as hot. I'm like, dude, like it's the same thing. It's just I guess the jalapenos that they sent us this time weren't as right. Like we don't get to control it, so it's like that's the difficult part. But we always try to taste and try to adjust. But that's what it is.
I think it's always pretty solid,
pretty consistent.
I think it's always just spicy, which is like.
I did hear like at other universities too. I think here a lot of Asians are here and they had Chick-N-Bap for a long time. But like newer campuses like Marist College. Like I've had students coming up and they're just like appreciate it because it's like flavor versus it's kind of just typical American food that they get. So it's like the green sauce to hot sauce. We have like 5 sauces we make in house, so they are definitely appreciative of what we do, which is always good to hear.
Yeah, it's really really cool to see like how you've really built this brand into your own.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, compared to when I started out of my Kasa house.
Yeah, that's crazy that you started in a Kasa house and now you're like on campus in Marketplace. Like
my friends make fun of me because the same people that lived with me at the house. First of all, they're my best friends still to this day, right? And in the beginning, they're like, "Don't do this, like don't," and they didn't believe in it, which fair kudos to them. Like, not kudos, but to be fair to them, it's just an idea at the time, right? So it's very easy to kind of just push things away. And our house was not the cleanest. I mean, you can imagine
the parties
any
and the
house
stuff
you do.
drinking.
So the fact that I was gonna cook out of it and people were gonna eat, they were just like, we could eat it, but like don't like try to make a business out of it. But the food was good enough where people bought every week, and obviously moved out of the house and pitched it. But so they wish they kind of got involved back then, because now I'm like, you can't join. I'm not trying to.
Too late.
Yeah, I'm not trying
you
to.
didn't have faith.
Yeah, but they're one of my biggest supporters now. Like all my friends and family, like my parents, even though they told me not to do it, but now they're the biggest supporters too. So it's nice to have people that believe in your dream, and so
yeah, it's definitely like kudos to you for like just pushing
thank
through
you.
it. Yeah.
Was it like rough for you to just kind of like push through it, even though people were like, oh, like I don't know about this?
That wasn't the hard part. I think for me, for a lot of Koreans, I think they call it kojip, right? That little stubbornness. Like, especially for me, I think when people tell me not to do something or tell me I can't do something, I kind of just have to be like, just stay quiet and just do it, and then when I actually get it done, be like, oh yeah, by the way, like I did.
I did what you said.
I mean, it wasn't even a big deal. Like I just have to kind of show it to them, like, look, it's possible. Like maybe not possible for you, but don't put that on me, kind of thing. So that was very easy, but I think the toughest time has been probably this past year because of this whole situation, which I'm just trying to stay positive and because it's out of my control,
Buy Chick-N-Bap, guys.
Buy
amazing
it,
food.
buy it.
Amazing food.
Is there any like last thing you want to say before we wrap up?
Last thing I want to say, man, I think I covered most. I mean, I just think, just as a self plug, I definitely do think everything that I talked about, like making everything in-house fresh, is something we do definitely unique compared to other places, right? But not only that, I hope at least within Kasa, like especially Binghamton Kasa, because I have a relationship with you guys, like just being part of an alum at Kasa Binghamton, even the e-board. I just think like my goal is to be what Chipotle was for Mexican food for Korean food. So I know it seems absurd. It seems very absurd at this point because Chick-N-Bap to everybody in Binghamton is just, oh, we have it at Binghamton, right? Not many people even know I'm in other universities. So it's a pipe dream. But if I were sitting here and telling you guys that I was the founder and CEO of Chipotle, I'm sure your image of me probably has changed. You're like, holy shit, like you're the founder of Chipotle. That kind of thing. But everybody starts somewhere, so
you always start small.
And the fact that my goal is to introduce Korean food to non-Koreans, like we serve thousands of people every day, and most of them aren't Koreans, right? So the fact that I get to serve oigimchi, like cucumber kimchi, to people, and they're gonna graduate one day. I think I told you guys this too. Like really, that makes me so happy. Like they're gonna graduate one day, work, in Manhattan, whatever, and one day go to a Korean restaurant again and see like what is this? And they'll be like, oh, this is kimchi, and they're like, I've seen that before. And if they relate, oh shoot, I had that in Chick-N-Bap, that's like crazy. Like that I get to be a gateway Korean food for everybody. I think it's awesome. So the goal is to introduce Korean food to as many people as possible. And I think that's what we're doing. Korean fried chicken with actual yam sauce, right? And the wings at the locations. So we're not just tied to rice bowls. They get to taste like every aspect of Korean food, or a lot of it at least, at a single location. So if you guys could show some love for Chick-N-Bap, for me and for Kasa, just as a supporting of your alum, I think that would be very appreciated.
For sure.
I mean, seeing how far you've come since selling out of the Kasa house.
Yeah.
I definitely can't wait to see how big it becomes in the future.
Yeah, that's honestly really inspiring. The fact that you started like here, Yeah.
I used to take like those public bus to, because I didn't have a car, so I would put it in the Walmart bags, like 10 platters, and I would sit in the bus. I would get out at Hinman and walk over, and they would pick it up. Like people would pay me cash, and it was some of my favorite memories. Yeah, it was fun.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us and collabing with Kasa as a Kasa alum too, and as a Chick-N-Bap the founder. I'm gonna put his handles right here on the screen. This is gonna be a YouTube video, so his handles, all his info is here, also in the description. So make sure you definitely check them out. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thanks for having me, guys.
It's an honor having you.